You grew up without electricity, a village called Barsomb in the Rift Valley of Kenya. Your father farms maize. Your grandmother raises you. The house has no power, no television, no reason to know about a marathon world record, or a 2-hour barrier, or the fact that somewhere in a different world, people are having heated scientific debates about whether the human body is physiologically capable of running 26.2 miles in under 120 minutes. You don't know about any of that yet. You just run. You run because it's what the Rift Valley produces the way the rest of the world produces other things. High altitude, thin air, decades of watching the men who came before you come back from foreign cities with prize money that changed their families' lives. Your uncle ran for Uganda at the Olympics, 800 meters, fast. You file that away. You don't know what it means for you yet, but you file it away. Your teacher tells you something when you are at St. Patrick's High School in Iton, the town that has produced more elite distance runners per capita than anywhere on Earth. She says, running is not just a talent. It is your fortune. It is your future. You are going to remember this sentence for the rest of your life. You are going to remember it specifically at mile 25 of the London Marathon on a Sunday morning in April 2026, when your legs are doing something that legs are not supposed to be able to do, and the crowd is so loud you can feel it in your rib cage, and you will think about that teacher and that sentence and what it cost to get here. But that's later. First, let's talk about how you got to the start line. You are not supposed to be a marathon runner. Not at first. You are a middle distance track athlete. 800 meters, 1500 meters, the kind of events that are over in under 4 minutes. Then in 2019, you arrive late to an athletics meet and the only race left available is the 5,000 meters. You run it. You are fast over 5,000 meters. Suspiciously fast. The kind of fast that makes coaches look at each other. You move up. 2 years later, you are racing half marathons. In Seville in January 2022, you run your first half marathon as a pacemaker. You are supposed to help other people run fast and then drop out. Instead, you win. 59 minutes and 2 seconds. You were supposed to be the rabbit. You became the race. By 2024, you are ready for the full distance. Valencia, your marathon debut. You run 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 5 seconds. Nobody in history has ever run that fast in their first marathon. You win. You post the fastest marathon debut in the history of the sport, and then you go back to Kenya, and you start preparing for London. The training block before the 2026 London Marathon is not normal training. Even by the standards of what you do, it is not normal. 200 kilometers a week average for 6 weeks. The peak week hits 241 kilometers. That is 150 miles in 7 days. That is running from London to Edinburgh and keeping going. Your body is a machine that has been running on this kind of mileage for long enough that the machine knows how to absorb it, but the mileage is still staggering. Still a statement of intent that anyone who reads it in the training logs understands immediately. You do this 6 weeks out from the race. Not because the plan says to, because something in you knows that the record is possible and the record requires the preparation to be complete. The shoes you will race in weigh 97 grams, less than a mobile phone. The Adidas Pro Evo 3, carbon plate, nitrogen-infused foam, the accumulated engineering of a decade of super shoe development distilled into something that weighs less than an apple. You have trained in heavier shoes, so that race day when you put these on, your feet feel like they belong to a different version of you. A faster version, which they do. April 26th, 2026. London. You wake up and the city is already alive in the way it gets on marathon morning. 800,000 spectators are going to line the course today. 800,000. The entire population of a mid-sized European city, standing on the streets of London to watch people run. You will not see most of them until they are right in front of you, and by then you will be moving too fast to see anything clearly. You eat, you hydrate, you do the things the body needs in the hours before it is asked to do something extraordinary. The hotel is quiet in the way that elite athlete environments are quiet on race morning. Everyone doing their own pre-race ritual, their own internal preparation, the specific focus of people who have been doing this long enough to know exactly what they need and exactly what they don't. The field you are starting with is the most dangerous marathon field ever assembled. The Ethiopian on your left has run a 58-second half marathon world record indoors. The Ugandan 2 places over is a world cross-country champion with bronze medals from the Olympics. The defending champion is you. The previous world record was 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 35 seconds, set by the late Kelvin Kiptum in Chicago in 2023. A man who died in a road accident before he could break it himself. A man whose record has been waiting for someone to come for it. You know what the target is. Sub 2 hours. The barrier. The one that the scientists argued about for decades. Possible in theory. Achievable on paper. Completed once before, unofficially, in Vienna in 2019. By the greatest marathon runner who ever lived on a specially designed course with rotating pacemakers in conditions engineered specifically for the purpose. That time was 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 40 seconds. Not record eligible. A demonstration, a proof of concept. History acknowledged it and then filed it under the category of things that happened under controlled conditions and therefore don't fully count. You are going to do it in a race, under race conditions, on the streets of London on a Sunday morning in front of 800,000 people. You are going to make it count. The gun goes. The first 5 kilometers pass in 14 minutes and 14 seconds. That is 2-hour pace. Exactly. The lead group knows this and they run it together. You, the Ethiopian making his marathon debut, the Ugandan, the Olympic champion, the former London winner. 6 of the best distance runners on Earth moving through the streets of Greenwich at a pace that most recreational runners cannot sustain for a single kilometer. The crowd is extraordinary. You said afterwards that without them you don't feel like you are so loved. This is not a platitude. This is biomechanics. Crowd noise releases adrenaline. Adrenaline delays the perception of fatigue. 80,000 people at a section of the course is not just noise. It is physiological assistance delivered in audio form. The crowd is part of your engine today. 10 kilometers, 28 minutes and 34 seconds. Still on pace, still together. The group has not fractured yet. This is the danger zone of a world record attempt. The early kilometers, running on pace before the body has fully settled into the effort. Before you know what today has to offer. You feel good. You always feel good at 10 kilometers. The question is what you feel at 30. 15 kilometers, 43 minutes and 10 seconds, halfway through the first half. The group is still 6 men, still together. Nobody has blinked yet. Nobody is going to blink yet. This is a game of patience dressed up as a foot race. Halfway, 1 hour and 29 seconds. You reach the halfway mark in 1 hour and 29 seconds. You have never run the first half of a marathon this fast. The second half needs to be 59 minutes and 30 seconds or faster to break 2 hours. That is a number that sounds simple until you understand what it means. It means running the second half of a marathon after you have already run the first half faster than any marathon has been run at halfway in a sanctioned race, at a pace that would win most half marathons outright. You are 31 years old. You grew up without electricity in a Kenyan village. You are currently running through the streets of London at a pace that generates a new world record. Miles 20 to 25 are where marathons are won and lost. This is where the body's glycogen reserves are depleted. This is where the famous wall lives, the point where the legs stop responding the way they should and the brain starts bargaining. The point where races that look like world records become races that are just very fast. The group has thinned. Some have faded. The ones left are you and the Ethiopian making his debut, the man who ran a world indoor mile record in 2019 and has now decided on his first marathon to run at 2-hour pace for 25 miles. You are side by side. You have been side by side since halfway. He is running the fastest marathon debut in the history of the sport, and he is running it in your wake, and still he is right there. 1 mile to go. You make your move. Not a dramatic surge, not a sprint, a controlled acceleration of such precision that it takes a few seconds for anyone watching to register that the gap between you and him has opened. 1 meter, 3 meters, 5. He responds. He is extraordinary. But you are further into the territory that only comes from years of this specific preparation. 241 kilometers in a training week. The body that was built in the Rift Valley. Your uncle's legs in your blood, your teacher's sentence in your head. The gap holds, the gap widens. You are alone now, and the finish line is close, and the crowd noise has reached a level that is almost beyond what the human ear is designed to process. 800,000 people compressed into the final mile of the course, all of them understanding in real time that something is happening, that the number they have been tracking on the giant screens and following on their phones is going to land on the right side of 2 hours. You can see the clock from 30 meters out. You can see it from 20. The digits are telling you something that your body already knows, but your brain is still processing. You cross the finish line. 1 hour, 59 minutes, 30 seconds. You stand at the finish line, and the weight of it arrives slowly because the body is still running even when the running is stopped. The heart is still at race rate. The legs are still firing. You don't feel the historic significance immediately. You feel the air on your face and the texture of the finish area under your shoes and the hands of the people around you. And the noise that is still going, still rising, because the clock has stopped and the number is there, and 800,000 people are responding to it all at once. 1 hour, 59 minutes, 30 seconds. 65 seconds faster than the previous official world record, 10 seconds faster than the unofficial exhibition run that launched 1,000 scientific debates about human possibility. The first man to run a legal sub-2 hour marathon in the history of organized athletics, the Ethiopian finishes 11 seconds behind you in 1 hour, 59 minutes and 41 seconds. In almost any other race in history, that time makes him the headline. In London on this Sunday morning, it makes him the second fastest marathon runner who ever lived, and still only second. The Ugandan finishes third in 2 hours and 28 seconds. That time is also inside the old world record. 3 men have just run faster than the previous world record in the same race. The previous record holder, Kelvin Kiptum, died in a road accident in 2024. He was 24. He had set his record in Chicago and then begun preparing specifically to break 2 hours. He never got the chance. His record stood for 2 years and 6 months waiting for someone to come for it. His former coach was at the finish line today. You think about this. Paula Radcliffe, who held the women's world record for 16 years, says into a BBC microphone, "The goalposts have literally just moved for marathon running." Eliud Kipchoge, the man who ran the unofficial sub-2 in Vienna and spent years as the greatest marathon runner alive, sends his deepest congratulations and says, "Breaking the sub-2 hour barrier in the marathon has long been a dream for runners everywhere, and today you've made that dream come true." Kenya's president says you have redrawn the limits of human endurance. You say, "What I had done for 4 months, it has come today to be a good result." There is a version of this story that is about the number. 1:59:30, the barrier, the 2-hour discussion that has been running in athletics for decades, the academic papers and the physiological arguments and the sponsored exhibitions and the gradual shoe technology revolution that made what was theoretically possible practically achievable. That is a real story, and it is worth telling. But here is the version that will stay with you. A boy from Barsombe, no electricity, a maize farmer's son raised by his grandmother. Running because that is what the Rift Valley does. A teacher who said it was his fortune. An uncle who ran for Uganda at the Olympics and showed him that the path existed. A half marathon he was only supposed to pace. A 5,000 meters he only ran because he arrived late to the wrong meet. Years of 200-kilometer training weeks. A build-up that was disrupted by injury. A January where the goal was simply to defend a title, not rewrite history. A choice to push anyway. 4 months of the most complete preparation of his career, 97-gram shoes, 800,000 spectators, 1 mile to go, a gap that opened and held, 1 hour, 59 minutes, 30 seconds. The barrier did not fall slowly. It didn't crack under gradual pressure. It fell on a Sunday morning in London in one specific race run by one specific man from one specific village in the Rift Valley of Kenya who decided that 4 months of preparation was going to be enough. And it was. It was more than enough.